All right, it's just a little after 7 a.m. Getting a few minutes later start than I kind of wished I had. This looks like this is all recording, so go ahead and pocket this. I was hoping to be on the unfinished Beltline before whatever twilight is for sunrise. I don't know what the word for that is. Dawn? I don't know. What is twilight in the morning? Or is it just twilight as well? In any case, comment down below. Let me know. Even though I'll probably look it up myself if I can remember later. So hopefully I'll still be able to see the sun kind of peeking over at the horizon as I make my way to the unfinished Beltline. Woke up at 5:44 this morning, so slept in a little bit for a Friday. In the past, I've been waking up at 5:30, and that 15 minutes does make a difference, you know. It doesn't seem like it at first, especially when you're still in the process of sleeping in. But, like, if it was 15 minutes earlier than it is now, it would be 6:50. I get bit by something? What the fuck is that? I keep getting this weird, like, hair pulling sensation on the back of my leg. Anyway, let me check this recording is still going. Cool. Yeah, I woke up at 5:44, and yeah, if it was 15 minutes earlier than it is now, the level of light would be drastically different. And it would have actually been the amount of light that I was hoping to leave during. But, you know, what can you do? I'm still feeling tip-top Magoo. Started the day with some coffee, some soy milk, some water, an apple, and some peanut butter. So I'm hoping that gets me all the way to REI. I think it'll do the trick. All the major things that I need in the morning to go for a long walk without having any kind of body issues were in that concoction. So, feeling good. I was watching Joey Diaz's Morning Joint. Always inspirational and highly recommended. I'll try to link to it below with the one that I watched this morning. It was really, really funny. Joey Diaz is just, he's so funny. When he's really on, he's so fucking on and hilarious. Got high with Uncle Joey, and now, as I might have already said, I'm on my way to REI. About 10 or so miles away. Maybe a little more, not sure. But I watched this interesting thing this morning about like Carl Jung's take on anxiety. And it made me think of my sibling, who shall remain nameless and without monochromatic gender definition. That doesn't really make sense because monochrome, it's like that just means one color. So that's probably not the best way to describe it. But anyway, this anxiety clip was just interesting. Man, someone broke this door. What's going on here? Oh, I see. Gotta fix this real quick. People are so... Oh wow, this door really got a number done to it. It doesn't usually swing back this far. Alright, let's try that. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, you know, some people, I don't know, I just don't know how you can have no regard for something. I mean, obviously, the part about no regard is not having a regard for it, so I don't even know if you would know that you didn't have it, because if you knew you didn't have it, you'd be probably a bit more self-conscious of it. So, I'm talking about something wherein someone doesn't even know about knowing. That's like ultimate ignorance. So I guess you can't really fault people for that. If you were raised a certain way, or perhaps weren't raised a certain way, I mean, who's to say what's up and what's down, you know? You just kind of learned, you didn't get the good training. Now that I think of it, parenting is kind of like trying to imbue this somewhat carte blanche human being with like the best lessons and ideas that you were able to come up with during the time in which you were someone who was learning and everything, and now you have a child. I guess you try to pass that down, but I don't know, if you have a child and you're not ready to do that, or don't have the ability to do that, then you can raise a person who is like truly lost. Perhaps that's the kind of person who didn't close that gate. In fact, they broke one of the boards on it. They broke the farthest board out. Someone went through that door very hard, and they went through it so hard that they got it stuck in the ground because it dug into this little hill, and then it was so forcefully done that one of the boards even broke off. So, you can think about that door, and I still am. And, it's just sort of that in and of itself, that door, it serves as like a lesson, a thought experiment, one that helps develop like a greater sense of empathy, because, I don't know, I was able to work through the idea that door represented to me in the state that it was, and it feels enriching. Positive thinking, positive attitude. You got it, Brody Stevens, funny man, in The Hangover, etc. But yeah, this anxiety thing. It was Carl Jung's, advice on how to get over anxiety. And that title is pretty misleading, because that's like saying how to build a boat in 3 easy steps. It's like, okay, generally speaking, that would be like a decent title, but it might lack a few details. And this anxiety thing was just interesting to think about, because it was like, the beginning, I don't know, it just felt very well paced, or like logically sequential or something like that. Like each point seemed to kind of have a beginning, middle, and end type vibe as it was displayed. Or at least, I don't know, maybe I just narrativized it or something. Crossing over the bridge over United right now, formerly Confederate. Apparently that street name is giving a lot of people problems with receiving their mail. So that sucks. Can't really imagine what the process of updating a street name is, but I can definitely see from Google Maps to the U.S. Postal Service. That's a lot of coordination to make sure everyone knows about that change. Oh, you know what? It's cloudy out, so there wouldn't have been a sunrise this morning. I'm right at the point where I would be seeing the sun right now, because I'm looking, let me think about this, north, south, west, east. I'm still thinking about what direction I'm looking. This is difficult for me. I have to literally orient myself based on a known north-south road, such as United or Boulevard, and then I have to think about the fact that the sun goes east to west because it spells we in the proper direction. Well, it actually wouldn't be the proper direction, but I guess I should say, if you're looking north and south, if you're looking north and south is behind you, west will be on your left and east will be on your right. And so in that orientation, reading left to right, it spells we. So that's how I always remember it. So enough talking, let me figure out which direction that is. So I'm looking north and south right now. So to my left. So I guess I'm looking southwest. No, southeast. Yeah, which makes sense because I think the United Street is United Avenue Southeast. So I guess that would have been a shortcut if I thought about it. But now at least I've proved it to myself. So I can say with reasonable confidence that the direction that I'm currently pointing that you can't see is approximately southeast, which is where I would have viewed the sun from. But again, it's cloudy, so no sun to be had. But I guess that's fair enough. I've seen a couple sunrises doing this walk in this way, so can't see them all. Yes, did I finish my thought on the anxiety thing? No, I didn't. I remember. So it was just interesting. Okay, so I was talking about the structure of it, the Carl Jung video, and I don't know. The first point he made was basically like it was sort of a call to responsibility, to put it succinctly, where he was saying like basically at a certain point in your life, you have to kind of realize that despite whatever might have happened to you while you were growing up in your younger life, unless you experienced true trauma, which, you know, who's to say what that is, like there's a certain point where you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and like you won't be getting, there's no point to try to dissect your past, because, you know, it happened, you can't change the past, and there's not really anything to work through, because I don't know, I mean, it was just like everyone has like a weird way to adulthood where you go through what you went through, and then you get to the point where basically you can reproduce and give back to society through like a job and stuff. You know, you are effectively an adult at that point. And so I thought there was a person in front of me, but it's actually just a Uber bike. A red Uber bike stands out quite starkly in the background landscape in front of me. Anyway, and so, I don't know, I just get the sense that my sibling thinks that there's more to be harvested from the past, like trying to square old circles, and I don't know, it's a form of rumination, and I just don't see how it can be productive. And I felt like this, it's a thought I've had before, I felt like this Carl Jung clip really elegantly described why it's important to not obsess over your past. And from there, I think it just went into like, so like, I don't know, that to me seems like it's a logical first step, because I guess one of the first things that you might have as you grow up is an obsession with the past, since your future isn't really in view, or at least viewable. Like a child doesn't really have the capacity to think about what life is going to be like as an adult in the same way. I mean, they can certainly dream, and maybe sometimes those dreams do become their future, but, you know, you have so little agency as a child. It's not until you can really do things how you want and when you want, to varying degrees of success. That's kind of when I think you become an adult, which I guess, if that's my definition, then I guess I'm about to become an adult, or at least become the most adult I've ever been. Shout out to Samwise Gamgee again, second reference in two Chronicles of this. Chronicles of this. There's a title. But yeah, so going on the Appalachian Trail is going to give me that same type of agency. And assuming I finish it up to my standards, again, it just feels like sort of the final exam before stepping over that hurdle from childhood to adulthood. It's not something I think about a lot, but for some reason it's something I talk about a lot when I do these clips and think about the trail. I don't know, I guess everyone's going to have their reason, and that seems to be the reason for me. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to start the day, which I guess I should go ahead and say it's March 8th, Friday. Now it's 7:18. I'm about 3/4 of the way through on the unfinished Beltline before I get to Bill Kennedy and reassess whether I want to continue talking. Man, I knew that it was going to be a gamble if I went to check the time and date, that I might forget what I was saying previously. So I'm going to think about this for a moment. Starting the clip, yeah, I think that's what I was talking about. It was an interesting choice. It popped up on my YouTube suggested videos, and I was like, that might pepper the day in an interesting way, listening to something like this. And it certainly did. You know, with each sip of coffee, I felt more and more awake, and I really felt the words I was hearing sinking in to a good, like, base, unconscious level of understanding, which is an important foundation to build up, because I think your unconscious informs your conscious. So if you can get enough unconscious training in a certain discipline, when you call upon it, it feels so natural that you can excel in its use. I guess that's like that flow state. Now I feel like I see another person in front of me, and it looks like they're wearing a construction jacket. And before I get that far down the Beltline, I definitely want to pee, but I want to do it tastefully. And the spot where I usually pee if I'm out here doing this kind of thing is pretty close to this guy where he's standing. And so I want to pee before that, even if that's not actually a person and it's another Uber bike or something. But I don't know, I have to be kind of choosy with where I pee out here as well. It's winter, so the foliage is less dense than it might otherwise be. So there's not as much cover if I go behind one of these bushes. And I'm wearing a very bright fluorescent jacket too, which doesn't help my case. The world is waking up. Look at these little doggies getting out and going to the bathroom first time of the day. That's a huge yard for that house. So I might pull off here soon. I think there's like this weird little holding area up here where there's like a bunch of junk. I don't even know what it is. Like, I don't know. I would describe it maybe as like miscellaneous construction items, or maybe just a really weird collection gathered together by a hoarder. I don't know. It's a fucking weird spot. Can't imagine what it ever was. My best thought would be that it's a city thing and that they just used it as storage, because in my explorations of the city, I've definitely come across a fair amount of buildings that just housed stuff like traffic cones and stuff like that, you know, stuff that used to be stuff but isn't anymore. Alright, I want to be careful here. I'm very exposed. I guess I'll pee like this. So I'm in the yard now with all this weird stuff. It'll be interesting. I'm sure its day of reckoning is coming. It won't long be here, without a doubt. It's going to turn into a $5 donut place or something. I recently had to buy a donut for $5, and I was just flabbergasted. Not even just because of the fact that, like, obviously you can get number-wise like 12 donuts for $5 if you probably play your cards right. But just the fact that a place that could actually sustain that kind of pricing, like if you're selling $5 a donut and you're selling, I don't even know, like let's do the math. So you sell 100 donuts, that's $500. Obviously this is like very simplisticizing the whole situation, but I'm not good at math, so that's what I gotta do. So you make $500 if you sell 500. So if you have 10 dozen, well, wait, hold on, $500 if you sell 100. So 100 donuts, if that would be 10, I mean, it wouldn't be 10 dozen. 10 dozen would actually be 13 dozen. Damn, I'm really getting confused with this math. But let's just roughly say that a dozen donuts is, damn it. This is, basically if you sold 10 dozen, you would have already made over $500. And I would think, so that would be, let's say 10 customers come through and they want a dozen donuts. That's not even unreasonable for a given morning. That's just 10 people. I don't know how many, like, customers on average that store would get. But if you had 10 people come through, so that's 1,000 for every 20 people if everyone buys a dozen, which probably isn't very, well, wait, no, that wouldn't even be right. Oh man, I'm going down such a rabbit hole right now. I'm not even going to keep going. I keep forgetting parts of this equation that are supposed to be making it work. I'm so bad at math, man. Really, like, just can't keep it together with that kind of stuff. I lose place and I lose track of what I'm talking about. Like, multiplying even 2 digits by 1 digit yeah, good luck with that. I cannot do that. Or at least if I can, it's barely. And I literally have to stop everything I'm doing and devote every single neuron to figuring this out. Can't multitask. Definitely can't enter any kind of flow state. But for those who enter a flow state when they do mathematics, I salute you for that. That's pretty incredible. Can't even imagine. Got a truck coming up. A little bit of dust. Pull my buff up. Jimmy buff up. Sorry if that's messing with the microphone. Whew. This has been a fun podcast to make. I've enjoyed it. I've had no direction whatsoever, and I've had no structure for the most part. Not that I ever do, but this felt even more disjointed. But you know, I only just finished my cup of coffee like 30 minutes ago, so, well, closer to an hour maybe now. But, you know, I'm riding the peak plasma level for caffeine. I think it takes like 6 hours to fully metabolize. So within the first hour, I'm sure I'm getting the most of what I'm gonna get. And I'm excited to hear how it pairs with music too. I'll definitely be throwing on an album here in a minute. Man, that's actually another saga that I've been going through. This will probably be my last point because I'm almost to the road anyway. But I kept getting this is a pretty technical topic, so apologies if you're not able to really understand or whatever, because I didn't understand. So that's not even trying to brag or anything. I had to actually look into this because I didn't know. The only thing I knew was the effect, and I am a die-hard troubleshooter enough to know that I can reverse engineer a problem. I guess it's kind of like doing algebra, you know. As long as you have a troubleshooting technique, you can apply it to anything once you know the way broadly you see it in all things, as Joe Rogan likes to quote. And so, man, it's getting fucking noisy over here. I'm gonna wait just a second before continuing about this story that I haven't even started yet. Construction sounds. All right. So, I guess I should lay this out like a story because it has a conclusion, and I wouldn't want to put that first. So, basically, for some reason, very recently, let's say actually within the last 7 days, because that is exactly the time frame that fits the issue and the resolution. So, 7 days ago, I started to notice when I would try to put a new file into my music folder on my phone from my computer using a USB cable and stuff, I noticed that for some reason, all of a sudden, I wouldn't be able to access my music, which is really frustrating for me because I have spent like too much time making a playlist that I really liked. It was basically just all music I want to hear when I'm in the process of exercising. And so it was like 1,000 songs that I had somewhat curated for a long time. I feel like my umbrella's about to fall out. And I lost that because all of a sudden my media was gone and couldn't find any of my songs. So, man, I need to adjust this umbrella. Just a moment. Let's put it in here. Alright, I think that's going to be way better. It looks better. I'm surprised I didn't lose that umbrella. So, for some reason, all of a sudden, I wouldn't be able to find my music. And I went on, I was afraid that for some reason my SD card had failed. But I was able to see all the folders when I went on my computer and viewed my phone through like the user interface that you have between a computer and a device. It's called like Android File Manager. Hold on a sec. Passing people. Check this microphone. So noisy out here. So, I'm gonna check this recording too while I'm at it. Cool, still going. So, I don't remember how the whole process unfolded exactly from the beginning, but I was just Googling around stuff, and eventually I would see this .no media file appear in my music folder, and I soon thereafter learned that a .no media file, basically when your phone is scanning a folder for data, if that folder starts with a .no media file, then it won't scan or register any of the data in that folder. So, okay, fine, found that. Pretty intuitively knew to delete it, did delete it, and then my music came back. So, okay, good. I have a solution for this problem, and I know why I know what makes it happen. I know this .no media file appears, and then anything that is in that folder where that file has been created, won't show up, and I understand that. So, I delete it, it's all good. I come to peace with the fact that I've lost my precious playlist and resign myself to create another. Arduous though I know it will be, and it did take about an hour to create the second one. Because again, I have to go through 1,000+ songs, listen to them very briefly, and determine whether it's a song I'd want to hear while exercising. Damn, it's so loud. So I did that, and then added another song to my player later, and then again, all my music was gone. The playlist I had just made was gone. The same symptoms that I was previously experiencing. So, okay, well, Jesus, what the fuck? Like, I deleted that file. Like, that solved it. Why was it added back again? So, I don't know. I was starting to wonder what was going on. Did a bit more research. Found that basically other apps can have permission to write on your device, and you can withdraw that permission. But in order to solve this problem, you have to know which app is writing this file. So, I had no idea. Couldn't find a way to reverse engineer that question. Got a guy. How's it going? So wasn't sure what app was writing this file, and I guess only just yesterday put two and two together, because I arrived at work I think this morning again and my music was gone, and I was really frustrated with that, because I don't know, I've been focusing a lot on my phone recently because of this problem, and it was interfering with my work. And I did actually do a 100+ ticket day yesterday because I was fed up with not having the queue zeroed, and feeling like some of that was my fault. So put the pedal to the metal again, and Christy and I both, shout out to Christy, just decimated it within like 2 hours. Just totally destroyed it. Went from like 114 to 0. It was very sweet. But anyway, I did find that the .no media file gave an approximate time of its creation. And yesterday, it was created at 8:57. And I started my recording yesterday at 8:56. And I thought to myself, interesting, if there is like a discrepancy between my watch and my phone of about 1 minute, then I think that I've actually found the program that's writing this .no media file. And I just had another realization about it, why it might be doing that. It's actually smart. I'll explain that in a minute. But I realized it was my MP3 recording app that I make these clips on. This app creates a .no media file every time you make a recording. So that's just something integrated into the app. And I think I just realized why that was. But I'm trying to cross this street, I need to focus for a second. But that'll be the conclusion to the story. No one can go? Crossing the street, one street at a time. The dramatic conclusion to the story is just about to be revealed, so patience. Let's see if I can cross the street. Looking good. Looking good. Alright, so, alright, problem solved. Figured out all the pieces, figured out how they work, figured out how they're working. So, all that just to say, it's replicable now. I understand the conditions to create this problem, and I know how to solve them, which is great. Happy with that. Gotta thank MailChimp for giving me that ability. I've been trained in troubleshooting for the past 5 years, and it's something that I really, really enjoy doing. So, the reason why I think that they do this, and I can almost see the code in my head as I visualize what problem this would solve. Why would you want an app to make a .no media file every time you make a recording? Presumably there's something written in the app to only create that file if it notices that it's absent. And, alright, gotta capture myself again. So basically, I would think that the app creators would want this program to have a .no media file in whatever folder it was writing files to, so that when your Android device, or probably Apple, does scan for files to put in your music player, it doesn't include the voice recordings. And I can already understand sort of intuitively why someone might not want to have those voice recordings included in their normal music. I mean, for sure, I would never want to hear one of my recordings if I was just using it for like grocery lists or like job stuff. I would not want that placed in my music, and I wouldn't want to have to like do it every single time. Like every time I make a clip, I have to also remove it from my normal music, but somehow keep it. So I feel like this is an unintended consequence and side effect of an action that was originally put into place to solve a different problem. Because I can imagine they probably got feedback about how their files were getting all intermingled with their music, and people are people, so, you know, they're definitely going to make a noise about it if they feel strongly about a system they don't like. Grab my microphone a little bit. People are starting to wake up, coming out. Morning. Man, it's funny. As long as someone does have a cell phone in their hands, I'm not scared of them. Beware of the person without a phone in their hand. That's an abnormality these days. I actually don't like having my phone in my hand myself, so I guess I'm sort of the exception to the rule, but I'm also the rule maker, so that seems fair. But anyway, so yeah, the way I solved this was to create a new folder for the MP3 recordings that's just for those recordings. Because before I had shared a folder with my music folder, which I guess was dumb. Morning. And I deleted that no media file, and I haven't lost my music. And I was able to make a really quick playlist this morning with about 900 songs, just the albums that I wanted. That's another thing that probably delayed me from seeing the sunrise. But again, we've already discussed. Didn't miss anything. And so that's good. That's a tale of troubleshooting. Not a very romantic one, but a true one. One certainly deserving of reflection and maybe even documentation. I mean, it's an interesting story, at least in my mind, in the context of giving a shit. because good luck explaining to anyone else the narrative version of that story. It's not the most compelling. But anyway, I'm here at the same porta potty that I left off at yesterday, and I think I'm going to do the same today. It'd be good. Go ahead and get as many pees out as possible. It's going to be a long walk, and I had a good deal of liquids this morning. So for now, I'll leave it here, taking the gloves off, and I'll probably be listening to Snarky Puppy here in a moment, as soon as I exit this porta potty. Although at this point, I'm just going to bring you in again, so I can do all this at once. What time is it? 7:40. Not bad. Not sure what my pace is, but it feels like it's probably less than 3 miles an hour. But I should be able to kick that up as soon as I stop making this clip. Stop thinking so much and devote all that energy to moving. Just about done in here. Alright. Cool. Alright. Mission accomplished. Almost. Talk to you tomorrow.